make your NHL playoff debut tonight. How'd you sleep last night?
I slept really good. Tried to get to bed at a decent time. Was watching lots of the games yesterday, so it's nice to get a feel for how things were and some exciting games to watch.
You mentioned watching the last couple of games. What's the emotions been like? Because this team's been waiting a while with practice days to get to this point.
A lot of close games, and even the Winnipeg-Colorado game, you think the game's over, but it's not. So just shows how much you need to stay focused and on your game. Otherwise, things can change fast.
Whether it's with the coaching staff, whether it's with veteran players, or even Wyatt, for you, what have the conversations been as you get your first taste of NHL playoff hockey?
I think just making simple plays, not trying to do anything too crazy too early in the game. The Vegas is a heavy, hard team, so just be good on the walls and just kind of do my thing.
You mentioned Vegas, and this locker room is very familiar, but the Stars haven't played them since December. You haven't played this team head-to-head. How do you approach a game like that when you're seeing an opponent truly for the first time, for you personally?
Got to be aware of some of their top guys, but when you go out there, you just kind of focus on yourself and what you can do to make a positive impact each shift.
Do you and Wyatt in the carpools, have you talked about this whole situation at all, or have you tried to keep it away from hockey?
Sometimes we'll talk about it, but we usually, just try and focus on whatever we have going on that day. We'll talk about hockey when it comes to it, but yeah.
In terms of what you've chatted about with Wyatt, do you want to share any of that, or do you know that you have to lock down the information here at the NHL level when it comes playoff time?
Just lock it down for now. Yeah.
Well, the reason that you're in this locker room is Jim Nill was looking to bolster this lineup for a playoff run. For you, what are the emotions entering Game 1?
Yeah, just excited. Ended the season quite a while ago, it seems, so just been sitting waiting, and I think everyone's sort of ready to go and dialed in for tonight.
Do you sleep peacefully last night? Do you take the nap today, or are you a little too jacked up for that?
No, I slept pretty good, and I'll nap tonight. This afternoon, sorry. But as I said, I think everyone's just eager and ready to go.
With Noah on the other side, there's obviously a connection between you two. Has there been any communication with him the last couple of days, or is it shut down?
No, once we saw we were playing each other, we just sort of halted all communication and be ready to go and then battle against him, and I think it'll be fun.
What's the most important thing for you tonight, just as a player and as a team?
Yeah, I think just do what we've been doing the last 2 months. We've been playing really good hockey, have had really good habits. Just trying to carry that over into tonight.
You go into tonight not knowing exactly what lineup they're going to put out there. Is that a challenge at all for you?
We're worried about ourselves and then playing the way we know how to play, and as I said before, creating good habits, doing the things that we've been doing the past 2 months.
Yesterday, Jake said that if he could create a defenseman to play in front of him, it would be you, and that you take a lot of pride in your game. Is that something that's just kind of carried throughout your career, the pride that you take in the defensive zone?
Yeah, I sort of, when you get into the league and you try to find your role and how you can help teams and how you can be effective, and it's sort of going into a really good team in Vancouver. When I started, you definitely took pride in trying not to get scored against and breaking pucks out and doing the little things right. And I had a lot of really good veteran influence that taught me sort of how to be a pro and how to do things on and off the ice.
So then based off that, if you could create a goaltender to play behind you, Jake Ottinger's got to be the guy, right?
Yeah, him, and he's amazing. He's been great since I've been here. So, it's a pleasure to play in front of him. And as I said, I think we're all eager and ready to go for tonight.
What have you learned since you've been here that you didn't know on the outside? What
Pardon?
have you learned since you've been here that you didn't know just from playing against?
Just how deep we are, I think. You go up and down the lineup, and I think there's no one playing really 24, 25 minutes. Miro and Will, obviously, if we need. But you look at our forwards and how spread out the minutes are, and I think that goes a long way. And you sort of don't realize that maybe from the outside, how sort of all four lines play in all areas pretty much of the game, and it's a huge impact for us.
It's routine, but starting goalie?
Ottinger.
Any lineup changes?
Trying to think from our last game of the season. No, I think same lineup, yeah.
Rope had a breakout year last year in the playoffs. When you look back at it, is there anything you can analyze and say, this is what he does best, or did he raise his game to a certain level because of the playoffs? Or, how do you get back to that, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I think, every NHL player wants to be considered a playoff player. He wants to be, when the chips are on the line, the money time of the year, whatever adjectives you want to use to describe it, you want that part of your resume. And I don't think it's an accident he did what he did, and I think really that's in your DNA. I think once you do that, you have an internal expectation to do it again. Now, is he going to dominate numbers-wise like he did last year? I don't know. We're built a little bit differently this year than we were last year, but I'm confident, he's going to have a major impact again this playoff.
Pete, you look at what Jake Ottinger has done this month. What would you say it has been about this month where he's had sort of this consistency and continuity where it seems like at the end of every game, his save percentages are clearly above 920, 930, and just he looks so different than maybe what you saw throughout the whole year?
Yeah, good question. I think, Jake's had quite a journey. When you go back 12 months ago, he was playing with an injury through the playoffs last year, had surgery in the off season, missed his training, came out of the gate surprisingly well, considering he missed an off season, and then I think it kind of hit him, and then he compounded that with another injury around Christmas time. So he's gone through a lot in the last 12 months. I think it's just the timing of getting his feet under him with what he's been through. I think that, and you combine the fact I think we played tighter in front of him too the last month and a half, which helps all goalies.
You just called the Groundhog Day in there.
Yeah.
And Bruce yesterday talked about it being kind of a budding Western Conference rivalry. Do you consider it one of the top Western Conference rivalries coming back again?
I would think so. I mean, I think anytime you're playing a team multiple times in the playoffs, especially year after year, and I don't think either team's going away anytime soon. I think there's a lot of interconnections, obviously, between the two franchises, and I think it's a great rivalry. I think it's great. You got two passionate fan bases. Both rinks are rocking. Great time of year. Excited.
Hey, Pete. Just to clarify on the lineup, you said same as last game, but assuming Tyler's back in.
Oh,
right?
sorry, yeah,
And
that's what I was trying to.
It's been a lot of
Tyler's
days.
back in.
And then who is Dadonov? Is Dadonov going to be playing?
Dadonov's in, yeah.
So who comes out
Dadonov's in.
on the
So Smith comes out.
And how do you make those decisions?
Well, Dadonov's an easy one. History with the player, history in the playoffs, type of game he plays. He had a good season this year. He missed a ton of time. He still had 12 goals, and a lot of them were even strength goals. I trust him this time of year. I think he's a playoff impact type player. His resume, includes Olympics and World Championships at the highest level. He's built for this. So, despite the fact he hasn't played recently, I think that's an easy decision to put him in. The tough decision is who comes out, and you're into things like face-offs and penalty killing and some situational role decisions that come into that.
Hey Pete, I'm curious. Obviously the group made a lot of changes as far as Duchesne, a lot of veterans up front this year. But how important have the young guys been, like Johnson last year and having a big year this year, then Stankoven coming up and Harley this year? Just how much of those guys made an impact on this group? Yeah,
the internal growth of those guys really has been the most important factor. We've added some people for sure that have increased our depth and helped our depth, but those kids, their development last year to this year, Thomas Harley and Wyatt Johnson particularly, but I put Stankoven in that category because he led the American League in scoring, came up here, made an immediate impact to our lineup in a bunch of different ways. So those guys have played a critical role in the depth of our team, the success we've had during the regular season, and I'm excited about them in the playoffs. What I loved about Wyatt and Harley last year, and I'm looking forward to with Logan this year, is just their unflappability. They refuse to get intimidated or pushed out as young players, and they played big roles last year, but they're in even bigger roles this year, both of them.